Hey gamers, Foxfire's here, bringing you an update on ArcheAge. The community is buzzing about the new private ArcheAge server. This is a server maintained and supported by a team of veteran developers outside of Trion Worlds and XL Games. And this weekend, Trion lashed out against the upstart.
It is illegal. Yeah, it is legal. We would call it plagiarism.
Is illegal.
Here it is copyright infringement.
Yeah.
Look at Trion's reaction time. The ArcheAge team normally takes ages to address even the largest issues, but they fired back in less than 2 weeks after the private servers launched.
We are taking very aggressive legal action against the activities on these private servers. It doesn't matter which private server it is.
They are bringing the banhammer into real life.
If you wrote a book, right, and it's your book, and someone takes it from you and then begins selling it, how would you feel?
Yeah.
How would you feel, Joe?
The point she's trying to make is clear, but the book analogy is terrible for Trion to bring up here. Because the private server essentially equates to fan fiction, which is totally a thing. Many successful ventures have started off as fan fiction. The private team makes the game their own by returning to patch 2.9 and creating their own events and layering in their own reward system.
It violates copyright, just straight up. In this case, however, the party responsible has been attempting to circumvent legal action in every possible way and trying to stop us from bringing down their infringing service.
The private team actually boasts about how difficult it will be to take down, emphasizing that they have dedicated decentralized servers.
Please, do not use these private servers. It's unreliable and untrustworthy. Are official servers reliable and trustworthy? Absolutely. We are an official company. We have, a lot of security measures in place to protect your information. We have a relationship with XL Games, who are the creators of ArcheAge. And just like any of the other publishers in the other regions, like, Mail.ru, China, Tencent, it's the same way.
They're using scare tactics here to say credit card information isn't safe with the private team. And that may be true. But Patron on the private server is free. So you'd only give them the payment information if you wanted to buy things from their cash shop directly. I'm not advocating the private server's cash shop here, just pointing out that some of Trion's arguments are kind of missing the mark.
Yeah. Surrender brings up a good point as well. If you put money into that server or time and it gets shut down, then you've wasted money and or time.
Oh man. I cannot believe they made this argument. Putting time and or money into a server only to find you've wasted your time? That's exactly what Trion does. Pay tons of gold for premium land only to lose it in Trion server merges? Twice? Invest money in Thunderstruck trees only to have Cash Shop drop them like candy. Gear RNG. Haulers, cars, ships on the wrong character for the new patch? Start over. ArcheAge is notorious for changing the game in ways to render your hard-earned gold-making setup completely worthless, so you have to start over. I cannot believe they made this argument.
You're going to see next week a very big letter.
Yeah.
And I was going to get there eventually, but this letter is kind of like a point-blank statement from us.
Right.
I've been writing it for a while now, and I feel as though we need to sit down and talk about a lot of things that people have been commenting on in ArcheAge. I think it's time. It's been time. I think it's a little bit overdue in many cases. So I encourage you to look forward to next week when we can sit down and perhaps, after you read the letter that we've written, you guys are going to have more questions and probably want to talk a bit more about this. So yeah. I'm going to leave that for next week.
It's definitely a big topic that we talk about behind the scenes a lot. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
Spendable Zero says 3 years overdue, and I think a lot of us feel that way.
Yep.
But a letter is not a fix, and that is the problem.
I mean, the most important thing to know is it is illegal.
Trion is out for blood against the private server. But several MMOs like EverQuest and WoW and others have private servers, so why is Trion hell-bent against this? It can really only be one thing. The private server must be doing serious damage to Trion's ArcheAge servers in metrics maybe like player login, player playtime, or the cash shop. So maybe it's hit Trion where it hurts most. But the only reason the private server exists in the first place is because of Trion and XL Games' failure to fix the game. Class imbalance, gear disparity, RNG, patches botching fundamental aspects of the game like the trade system. You can catch details of why ArcheAge is struggling by clicking on my previous video here and in the link in the description down below. These key issues have left the game broken and resulted in a community outcry that's built up to be stronger than any I've seen since the uprising at the initial failures at the game's launch. Here are just a few comments from players about the issues. Cyberpunk Girl says, "The game is crippled. In the past, many players saw a great vision, an amazing world filled with a heated economic system and huge PvP battles with awesome different classes. Now those are ghost towns and represent a mere pale shadow of what this game could have been, a giant MMO. This big collective frustration is why there is so much hate towards this game." Craven says, "Returning player here. I decided to start fresh on ArcheAge a few days ago, and I'm definitely feeling the gear disparity, and it's really demotivating. The mere thought of how much time I would have to invest into the game to be competitive scares me." Evelyn Thess says, "I saw my chance now with the merge to quit. I didn't really play in the last months, mainly because of all the new trading system changes. My main struggle with it is simple. I did a lot of things, but the fun in trading for me was opening my box in my home, checking what items I had inside, and just taking out random things and hopping on my cart to take a route that I felt like. Taking that option away from me and forcing me to only have Villanelle or Solos to drive to kind of felt like they were taking my sandbox feeling away." Daniel Black says, "For me, the gear class discrepancy is the biggest reason I don't play much anymore. My wife, on the other hand, plays ArcheAge every waking hour she isn't at work. I've been playing this game for a couple years now and have roughly a 6k gear score tank class. A similarly geared Dark Runner with a legendary weapon can literally one-hit me, and I'm on a tank class. Yes, it happens all the time. So how does one combat that? Well, you can't really. If you read the forums, for those not yet banned for disagreeing, you'll see a ton of posts about how insanely OP Dark Runners are. My son, who never plays and has a 3.4k gear score Dark Runner, is testament to this. He's amazing and rarely loses to any class except other Dark Runners. In a game when you allow one class to be this dominant, then it leaves no room for anyone who doesn't want to play that class. And I'm sorry, I'll never play Cheese Runner." This goes back to the fundamental flaw with the game, and that is gear and class differences being insurmountable for non-credit card warriors. And these are just a few of hundreds of comments. Trion and XL Games have had years to address issues like gear disparity, yet it remains perhaps the most broken aspect of the game. Some Enraged players finally took it upon themselves to create the private server in an attempt to fix the issues. It's currently running on patch 2.9, the golden age before all the botch changes to the trade system. Patron is free, and there's 4 times the labor regen. In many ways, this gives you the freedom to play the game how you want to play, like a sandbox should be, rather than restricting you to only the highest silver per labor point per time ventures. It also includes improvements to quality of life, like 5x XP gain, 2 times the accelerated crop and livestock growth, and 2 times production speed. Maybe the most forward-thinking thing is that they've invited the community to participate in the brainstorming of changes, content, rates, etc., implying that much like the fanfiction analogy, the private server is going to become more and more its own thing. Rather than spending resources on trying to bring down the private server, maybe the Trion team could be using the private server as a sandbox PTS. Trion's ArcheAge team has said a few times in live streams that they don't want to change things too much too quickly, because they don't know the overall impact it'd have on the economy or the gameplay, etc. And it's too much for them to get to everything. So, use the private server as a Darwinian testing ground. Trion's reaction to the private server makes one thing certain. They've finally heard the wake-up call. What do you gamers think about the concept of the private server? And what do you think Trion should do now? Will legal action just breed more bad blood between Trion and the ArcheAge community? I'll leave you with those questions. I'd love to hear your thoughts, gamers. As part of the Trion Creators Program, I have some squirrel gliders to give away. So if you'd like a chance to win one, be sure to hashtag your thoughts and a comment down below with hashtag I think Trion should. And if you like ArcheAge updates and game tips or tips on other upcoming games, be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching, gamers. I'm Foxfires, and this has been an update on ArcheAge.
This one's good. Are you ready for this, Sarah?
I'm ready for this.
Private servers.
Ha!
That's all I'm going to say. Private servers.
Private servers. And don't be supporting this illegal activity in any way. That money does not go back to development. It does not pay the people who make ArcheAge, which is XL Games.
Right.
So it's really important for that it's just not supported, and we are going after it with legal action.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
And I see Trion said, like, do you know why people are going over to play on the private server rather than yours?